Okay, so I went ahead and made this little slideshow to basically show you guys everything you're going to need to start your Amazon business from complete scratch. That includes, all the foundation, all your supplies, your materials, everything like that. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So to start, you're going to need to choose your business model. Now, there's 4 different business models, and I organize them in that very order from easiest to hardest. So, retail arbitrage is buying from clearance stores or just big box retail stores like Walmart, Target, Kohl's, and you go into the store and you scan stuff, and then you're able to find some discounted products and then take them home, and then you ship them off to FBA. So this is physically going to stores and scanning stuff. Now you are limited to what you can actually find at those stores. That's why it's not that scalable. So now we have online arbitrage. So online arbitrage is basically the same thing as retail arbitrage, except instead of going to the stores physically, you're buying it from online retail websites like Target.com, Kohl's.com, Walmart.com, and you're scanning their clearance sections. And you're also strategically using discounted codes, gift cards, coupons to bring that cost down to create a moat around your purchase. So this is online arbitrage. There is so many strategies to scale with online arbitrage. And I actually did a lot of online arbitrage and still do here and there. It's a lot of fun, but it's also time consuming. So that's one downside there. It works though. It's better than retail arbitrage. I can tell you that much. So now let's get into the next business model, which is private label. Private label involves creating your own brand. You're creating the listing from scratch. You're taking all the pictures for the listing. You're running PPC to drive traffic to your listing. You're ordering from overseas to get from the manufacturers to get your brand or your product launched on Amazon. So this is very high risk because it requires very high investment, anywhere from like $20,000 to $30,000 for a really, really good product, a really good brand that you can potentially exit from in the long run. Now, private label is more of like the end game for me. That's something I'm thinking about getting into. So if you're just starting out, I would maybe just start with online and retail arbitrage or go right into wholesale. Those 3 are going to be the lowest hanging fruit for someone that's completely new. And that also depends how much capital you have to get started, which we'll get into in a couple slides. So now the next one is drop shipping. So dropshipping is technically not allowed, but I still see some people talk about dropshipping on Amazon. So I kind of want to clear the air on this one. Amazon is pretty strict. Most new sellers who try to dropship will get suspended. And for example, if you're a new seller and let's say you order something from Walmart.com and that product arrives to your house in a Walmart box, and then you get an order and you send it off to a customer in that same Walmart box, Amazon is going to think that you're drop shipping. So therefore, they're going to give you a violation and shut down your account. So be very careful with this. So drop shipping is not allowed. So I don't care what anybody says. Oh, isn't that just drop shipping? It's not drop shipping, guys. Like, it's just not allowed. Okay. So now the next one that I personally do is Amazon Wholesale. I like this business model because I did all of them. I did online and retail arbitrage, but the one that I really was able to really scale to 7 figures within my first 12 months was Amazon Wholesale. And why is this scalable? Because you're ordering in bulk from authorized distributors. You're opening a wholesale account and then you're getting that inventory. You're prepping it yourself or sending it to a third-party prep center. Then from there, it's going to Amazon where it sells for retail price and you're making your profit. And then you're just simply rinsing and repeat that same process. And you're able to basically replenish those same products over and over again because you have the supplier that can keep consistently giving you those products. Not like online arbitrage or retail arbitrage where you're limited to so many products that you find on that website or at that store. With Amazon Wholesale, you have access to thousands of products from your authorized distributors. Not only that, you can build relationships with your distributors to maybe get a 5 or 10% discount, increasing your profit margin. And wholesale is really based off relationships. The better the relationship you have with your distributor, the better the pricing will be. Now, it is beginner friendly. It also depends how much capital you have to get started. In some cases, some of my students start with arbitrage, online arbitrage, and then they scale their way up to maybe 5K in capital, liquid capital for wholesale. And that's when we're able to really take them to the next level. So, how much money do you need to start? Like, it depends on what model you want to do. For wholesale, the absolute minimum is going to be anywhere from it's going to be 2,500. You can get away with 1,000, but you're limited to how many suppliers you can talk to because they require a minimum order quantity. For example, some suppliers will say you need to spend $3,000 with us to even get your first order in. Or in some cases, they'll say you need to order 500 units. That's going to be the MOQ. So it really just depends on the supplier and the product and everything like that. But to be comfortable to get into wholesale, 3 to 5K is the sweet spot. And if you really want to take it to the next level and you're not playing, you want to like really lock in and scale, 5 to 10K that's a pretty good budget to get started. Obviously, the more the better, the more profit you can make as well. So now, why do you need capital for wholesale? You need capital for wholesale because we're buying in bulk. Let's say you buy 1,000 pieces at $5 a pop. That's already 5K that you need for a supplier. So in some cases, some suppliers will accept something called plastic or Melio, which allows you to pay your purchase order with a credit card such as American Express or Chase. They do take a 3% credit card fee, but you're able to cancel it out if Chase has a 2% cash back on their credit card. So there's a couple little tricks that you can do to pay off, to basically access capital to pay your suppliers. Hopefully that made a little bit of sense. So now, startup costs. There are a couple essential startup costs that you'll need. Mandatory is going to be the Amazon seller account, which is $40 a month. You are going to need a business entity, LLC or EIN. That is going to depend on the state. Every state has a different cost. I would get it through busy.com. You're able to get it expedited, meaning you can get it in like 2 or 3 days at the most for an extra $50. That's what I did when I got started because I was so desperate to just get started. I wanted to start selling ASAP. So I got my LLC in 2 days, went to the bank, opened my business bank account, got a business credit card, and then right away started selling. So that is one plan that you can do there. Now, you don't need to start with your LLC or your EIN. You can absolutely start with your social security number. Let's say you just want to test the waters. You want to maybe start with arbitrage or go and scan to the stores and do retail arbitrage. You don't necessarily need an LLC to get started. However, once you start to take it seriously and you're doing about 10 to 15K in sales per month, you're absolutely going to want to get an LLC for tax purposes and also to protect yourself and separate yourself from the business as a separate entity. Now, an LLC and EIN also has a lot of pretty good benefits, credit cards, business funding, write-offs, tax expenses. Like there's a lot of really cool moving pieces with an LLC and EIN. So if you're going to take this business seriously, I totally recommend to get it right from the beginning. Now, inventory. Your first test orders, like I mentioned earlier, 2,500 to like 5K is going to be the sweet spot. Shipping to Amazon, those shipping costs are basically calculated on SellerAmp. And I can show you guys in a different video how to basically set your SellerAmp settings so that your per pound shipping fee to Amazon is accurately displayed when you're sourcing for products. And I know that might not really make that much sense right now, but just know that you can calculate it when you're sourcing the product. So don't worry too much about it. As well as Amazon has partnered carrier shipping. Their carrier is UPS. So if you're shipping to Amazon, you get discounted rates as well. So additional startup costs is a prep center. Now, what is a prep center? So let's say you place an order with your supplier and then you ship it to your house, and then from there it goes to Amazon FBA. Another way to do it is place an order with your supplier and then you ship it to your prep center. They are going to relabel, package, and prep everything up to Amazon standard, and then they're going to ship it to Amazon for you for a small fee. Now, it depends on the product size and the weight. Usually the fee will be anywhere from $1 to $1.50. But obviously the more units you move, the cheaper the price gets. But sometimes it doesn't make sense to have a prep center. Let's say you're pushing 10,000 units a month. Now that starts to add up, like 9,000 to 10,000 in costs for prep center. You may as well get a warehouse at that point. But if you're like me and you value your time and you have other things to attend to, and you just don't have the time to prep and ship, then a prep center kind of makes sense for you. In that case, the money that you're making is sort of working for you. You have your money working for you, everything is outsourced, and you have the time to travel, to hang out with your family, to do other things. The beauty about this business is that everything can be outsourced. Okay, so now that's a prep center. So then we have Repricer. So that is going to be a software that basically fixes your pricing so that you're getting consistent sales, anywhere from like $27 to $100 a month. This can come after you have at least 10 to 15 SKUs on your catalog. Not entirely necessary at the beginning, but definitely one to consider once you start getting some momentum. And then another important cost is going to be your product or research softwares. Those are going to run you anywhere from $50 to $100 a month. They are entirely necessary because that's what pretty much keeps you sourcing, finding profitable products, finding suppliers, and I'll get into the different softwares in a couple minutes. But yeah, anywhere from like 1 to 3K just to get started, and like 3 to 6K and above to like really dial it in. So now creating your Amazon seller account, as mentioned, this is going to be $40 a month. You want to get the pro plan because the individual one will limit your visibility on listings, meaning you won't get the buy box. The buy box is that little box that pops up on the side of every listing that says add to cart. Now the seller that's on the buy box basically gets all the sales. You won't qualify for the buy box with the $1 per product account, individual account. You want to get the $40 account because it helps with ungating as well. So very important from the very beginning. Don't cheap out on this. Get the $40 plan from the beginning. Also, when you're opening your seller account, you want to have your LLC, your EIN, your business bank account, or a personal bank account if you're going the individual route, a credit card on file so that they can run the $40 payment, a government ID, driver license, passport for ID verification, and also a utility bill or bank statement for proof of address. Now, it really helps if you have all of this stuff ready in hand, ready to go. The approval process takes about 24 hours. And in some cases, they require a video verification as well. So just be ready for that, and then set up two-step authentication as well, just to protect your account. Now, let's get into a couple business entities. I am no way a CPA or giving you some financial advice. I'm just kind of letting you know what worked well for me and what's working for some of my students inside of my inner circle. So LLC versus SOPROP. A SOPROP is basically, you have your resale permits, you have your seller's permit, but you don't have an LLC or an EIN, meaning you're operating as you are the business. The individual is the business. So this is the easiest, the cheapest, and the fastest way to get up and running, but you don't get that liability protection, and you're not able to really open wholesale accounts because a lot of suppliers are going to ask for your LLC and your EIN. So LLC is recommended because it protects your personal assets. You're completely separate from the entity. You're able to get business funding and business credit cards, and it makes suppliers kind of trust you more because you kind of come off like that professional authority. It also helps with opening some larger business, larger distribution accounts. But what most sellers do is pretty much start as a SOPROP. When I started, I did start as a SOPROP, and 3 months into it, I got my when I started with just a single member LLC, and then I converted it to an S Corp 3 months into it for tax purposes and everything like that. So I would advise to talk to a CPA or a professional because everybody's different. Depending how many liabilities you might have or assets you might have, then you kind of have to decide what would be the best option for you. So let's get into supplies. and materials and softwares that you need. So a couple softwares that you're going to need is going to be Keepa, because Keepa is basically your product research tool, and it tells you the price history, and it will tell you accurately how many units you as the seller can sell through, what price you can sell it at, how many sellers are on the listing. It gives you all the product details. None of the purchases that we're making and selling on Amazon are gambled. Essentially, what I'm saying is that everything is data driven. We're not buying a product and hoping that it sells. We are purchasing products accurately, knowing, making educated buying decisions based on the Keepa graph. We will know all the information before buying anything. So Keepa is the number one tool that's a non-negotiable. And then we have SellerAmp, which is our profit calculator, which basically tells us how many products, how much profit we're actually making, how much money we're making, how many sales the product is doing, the bestseller rank, the rank of the product, how many sellers are on the listing. So Keepa and SellerAmp pretty much complement each other well, hand in hand. Definitely two non-negotiable extensions. Now, SmartScout and third-party profits are more for supplier sourcing for Amazon Wholesale. They're not necessary entirely for online arbitrage, but if you learn how to use them a little bit, you can definitely use them for both techniques, for both strategies. So SmartScout is more for brands and distributors and products, and third-party profits is a software that allows you to upload all of your supplier catalogs and then reverse source other seller storefronts and see what you can find that you have access to. So it's a very interesting software. Both of them are great for supplier sourcing. Now, optional but highly recommended will probably be a prep center depending on your time. Third-party profits is one of my favorite supplier sourcing softwares, and you also will need a professional email and domain and a professional website so that you look like a more professional distributor when you're opening wholesale accounts. So you want to set the foundation straight because you don't want to just come off like a regular Amazon seller when you're opening wholesale accounts. You want to come off like, hey, like I sell B2B and I'm looking to purchase from you. We have an established distribution company for the last 5 years. This is our website. We would like to establish a partnership with your distribution. That's kind of how you want to come off, like that. Not in those same words. I kind of just, did that verbatim, but you know exactly what I mean. You kind of have to come off like you're a professional distributor when you're reaching out to other suppliers. So a couple of supplies that you'll need if you're shipping yourself and doing your own prep. You're going to need a thermal printer. That's going to be your 4x6 labels, and also a printer that can switch over to 2x1. I absolutely love the roller printer. I'll have some links down below for you guys if you want to get some supplies. Barcode labels, 2x1 labels. You're going to need a scale. You're also going to need a couple boxes, some bubble wrap, poly bags, some packing tape, like all that fun stuff. So be prepared to spend at least, I don't know, maybe $300 to $500. It can be a lot cheaper. It depends what kind of fancy stuff you get. I know the Rollo printer is about $200, but it's amazing. I love it. So it totally just depends on what options you go with. But I'm going to just lowball this, maybe $200 if you get like the bare minimum. Anywhere from $500, $300 to $500 if you want to get like top-notch like materials and stuff. So finding products, sourcing. So this is the number one skill that you are going to learn to do on Amazon. It's the most important part. And this is what a lot of sellers have hiccups on. They don't understand Keepa. They don't understand SellerAmp. They don't understand the algorithm that Amazon is giving to these sellers. So sourcing is the number one skill you need to learn. And I'm going to show you a couple different wholesale sourcing methods for suppliers. I do have some other videos in my channel on finding products and product research, so feel free to take a deep dive, or else this video would probably be about an hour long if I dive into numerous sourcing techniques. But here is how you would start with wholesale. Step number one is going to be to build your supplier list, because once you have the foundation Amazon account, everything ready to go, you got that email suite, you got those email templates, you know what to say to suppliers, you know how to contact them, everything in between. Or maybe you just joined my program and you kind of learned the ins and outs and you're ready to rock. the number one thing you're going to do is you can source for suppliers through Google search. Basically typing in something like grocery suppliers near me, or you could even get down to specifics. Like if you're looking for a supplier that carries Oreo cookies, you can type in Oreo supplier near, you could even get even specific, in Los Angeles, or in Maywood, or in Orange County. You can say, different things, and it'll come up. Even better, it works a lot better with AI, which I'll get to in a little bit. But then also you can go to the brand website. For example, Oreos. I'll use that example again. Oreo.com. Go there and see where if they have a list of their distributors. If not, you can call them, get in touch with the sales rep, and see if they can give you a list of all their authorized distributors, so that you can maybe open a wholesale account with those distributors. Okay. Now, trade shows. A trade show is basically a large show where a ton of suppliers and brands go and basically set up shop to showcase their products. So this is absolutely great for somebody that maybe wants to get out, doesn't want to be stuck in their computer. Like it's also a pretty cool business write-off if you take a trip and you go to some trade show and you go and meet suppliers in person. This is actually going to be the most effective way, because you can scan catalogs there. You can pretty much open some accounts there, do your research. Typically, these shows are about 2 to 3 days long. So on the first day, you can pretty much go to the directory on their website, get a list of all their trade show suppliers, write down a list of all the ones you're going to go and visit. And then from there, go back to your hotel and do a little bit more research. You're going to go and then attack the next day. So there's like a whole cool little game plan that you can establish with trade shows. Not only that, you can go, like I mentioned earlier, go to their website and find a directory and then source those suppliers and see what products that you can find there that are selling good on Amazon. So just a couple nuggets there for you guys. Now, wholesale directories, that's kind of the same thing that I told you. Now, I will say one thing. There is Wholesale Central, which is a wholesale directory. I would stay far away from that, because there is a lot of Telegram suppliers and WhatsApp deals going on there. And I'm not going to be the first to tell you guys. I'm pretty sure you've heard this from other people. But Telegram and WhatsApp suppliers are typically not the best suppliers you want to be sourcing from, because more than often, a lot of their inventory can be stolen from big box retailers. So you never want to sell inventory that doesn't have a letter of authorization from the brand or an invoice to back up your purchase, because worst case scenario, Amazon can crack down on it and you're pretty much fucked. Okay, so fair warning there. So now with reverse sourcing, you pretty much start with the product and then reverse source the supplier. So you would pretty much put some filters on Amazon and put your criteria, see what brands come up, and then try to reverse source the suppliers. I have a video on that in my channel if you want to check it out. Softwares. Now, I did mention earlier, SmartScout and Third Party Profits are both great softwares to source suppliers. Third Party Profits also has a supplier map. I do have links, discounted links in the description for you guys if you guys want to try them out. And lastly, my favorite is going to be AI. There's a ton of prompts that you can insert into ChatGPT and get very creative with finding suppliers. Also you do have to vet them, kind of check the BBB accredited website, check Google Maps, and make sure that they actually have a warehouse and trucks outside, because a lot of the suppliers that ChatGPT might pull up may not be properly vetted. Okay, so with these couple techniques, these strategies, try to build a list of about 50 to 100 suppliers or even more. And then the next thing is going to be to contact them. So you'll need to basically email them or apply on their website if they have a form, or I know everybody's favorite is going to be to call them. You need to call them, introduce yourself, open a wholesale account, get to know them. They are your partners at the end of the day. So you're definitely going to want to pick up the phone and call. They're always going to ask for a business license, your EIN, and your resale certificate to open that account successfully. Now, once you open that wholesale account, you're going to ask for their price lists, their clearance lists, their monthly specials, their new item list. For trade shows, they'll have a trade show discount list. So definitely you'll need to get their product catalogs. And sometimes these catalogs might have thousands and thousands of products. So the next thing you got to do is scan the catalogs. This can take you literally all day if you're not using a software or a virtual assistant or something to scan the catalogs to price match on Amazon. But you're going to use some tools or an assistant to basically find this criteria. You're going to want a 20% return on investment on every product. You want at least a good sales velocity. You want a product that's selling at least 200 to 300 times per month. You want a stable buy box price on Keepa. You want that pink line to be steady. If a product is selling at $25 for the last 2 months and last month, this month I see the price going down to like $20, I would totally skip on that because then we're all losing money there. So definitely want a stable price. You want to make sure that all your fees are accounted for and that you're profitable. And you want a product that also has low competition. And lastly, you want to make sure that you are not restricted. Okay, so there's such thing as getting ungated on Amazon, which I have a lot of videos on my channel about getting ungated and selling products that are already automatically approved as a new seller. So definitely check out those videos. I'm not going to get into it too much here because we're sourcing suppliers right now. So after you kind of meet this criteria with some of your products, the next step is going to be to test order a couple batches. So you're going to want to order like 10 to like 30 units. If a supplier says, oh, you got to order 100 units, 200 units, then you might want to skip it because we don't want to lose money. We want to make sure that the product can sell. 50 to 100 units is typically like a good test order. If you're doing grocery, confirm the expiration dates, check the shipping fees from the supplier to the prep center or from the supplier to your house. Definitely want to make sure that all these numbers make sense. So it's not just about purchasing something very easily. People always say, oh, you make it look so easy. You make it look so easy. Guys, it's math, it's calculations, it's price history. There's a lot of boxes that need to be checked off before we actually order a product. And if you need help with this, there is a link down below. We can definitely chat and I can help you guys kind of confirm your purchase orders. I will review your entire workflow, making sure that you're not making any mistakes. It definitely helps if a second set of eyes takes a look at your suppliers and your products before you actually make a mistake. So now after we place our order, we're going to send to Amazon FBA. So we are going to either use a prep center or we're going to do it ourselves. Now, there is some suppliers that will ship to a residential address. So for some of our students, we're able to find them suppliers that do that for us. So it depends on the supplier. If you you need to use a commercial address, you might have to get a prep center from the beginning. Or you can also get a storage unit if you want to. It depends on management at the storage facility. Sometimes they allow you to work out of the storage unit. Sometimes they won't, but a storage unit does count as a commercial address. You just have to be present to receive your inventory. All right, so now after that, you're gonna replenish your winning products. So let's say you place an order of 30 units and it's sold out successfully. Then you're gonna message your supplier, hey, I wanna get more of this SKU and this SKU, and now I wanna get this SKU. Now that I'm making a second order, can I get a 5% discount? And you absolutely can do that. So that is the key here, is building those relationships with your suppliers to keep on replenishing, keep on reordering. And that is how you're going to scale. So you expand your catalog and then you start adding variants. What I mean by variants is maybe you're selling on the 1-pack listing. Now you can sell on the 2-pack listing now that you're doubling down on it. So there's a lot of like cool little strategies that you can do on Amazon. And lastly is implement a virtual assistant to help with supplier catalogs. Because like I mentioned earlier, sometimes these catalogs take all day to find products. It really does help if you have a software or a virtual assistant sourcing catalogs so that you can focus on higher leverage tasks, such as opening wholesale accounts or repricing or just doing other administrative tasks instead of just sourcing for catalogs all day. Now, for our students, we do give them a fully trained virtual assistant that already has a supplier pipeline. So if you're interested, there is a link down below. And that pretty much wraps up this video here for you guys. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them down in the comments. Subscribe if you found this video helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.